Today is October 23rd, 2023. We're recording on the evening of October 22nd, 2023. The Flames suck, apparently. I don't know what else to put it at, but they look very terrible. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the game they played against the Red Wings today and the Blue Jackets on Friday. We're going to talk about Rasmus Anderssons' suspension and whether or not 4 games was the correct decision, and a potential Noah Hanifin contract extension, which I'm not for, to be honest. And we'll talk about that and plenty more on this. You know what? Let's just get this over with. Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the Flaming Talk podcast, presented by DraftKings as a part of the Hockey Podcast Network. I don't really know what to say. I mean, as you know, compared to today's game against the Detroit Red Wings, where there's just no life. Like they just completely got outplayed. And don't get me wrong, the Red Wings, having off to a great start, and they're looking like a way better team than, people are giving them credit for. But man, nobody really showed up, man. Like, just it was just such a brutal game to really watch. I was at work and I got to watch a little bit of it, while I was on break and whatnot. But just man, I don't even know what to say in regards to today's game. But we'll talk a little more about it in a quick second here, but I want to bring in Connor here, my my co-host. Connor, my man, how are you doing?
Should I answer honestly? No. I actually want to be friendly to the kids here too. So, I other than pure depression going through my veins, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We said at the beginning of the year, low expectations. We said low.
Yep.
This is taking low to a whole new level. Especially today.
Yeah.
This is taking the low expectations to the depths of hell, and it is finding some way to put it deeper than that. I don't know how the hell I could be any more disappointed with the Flames after Columbus, but here we are. For those of you other Flames fans out there who are also feeling this way, welcome to the club. This is unfortunately what we discussed in the beginning of the year, saying that there's low expectations. But we at least had some hope of some development. And I don't see any type of development happening. I don't see any type of, in reality, hope for this team for the next couple years. And it's hard. And again, what I had said after the Columbus game is, I said, it's only game 5. We don't need to worry about it. And I said that as maybe more of a coping mechanism to try to rid the fact in my mind that we lost against the fucking Columbus Blue Jackets that, as we know, last year were one of the picks for the first round, or for the first overall pick.
One of the bottom 3 teams in the National Hockey League last year, but
but we look like we're in that boat there.
Yeah.
Like, I look in the distance and I think about what did the bottom 3 look like last year, and I think about Chicago, I think about Anaheim, I think about Columbus, and I think, wow, we look the same, maybe even worse. And what I also think about is, hey, first round pick, #1. Let's go, boys. It's about goddamn time. But, knowing this franchise, we won't get the first three picks. What will happen is the relocation again. What will happen is that Murray Edwards will say, this is great, Noel, and I'm glad that you are finally building a new arena for this team, but we want to actually relocate it to somewhere like Cleveland. That's what I'm planning. So, we'll finally get.
Okay. I need to jump in for a second here. So why Cleveland? Why give them more? Why give that sports city more pain and misery?
So, if you know about the Cleveland Browns and the history of the Cleveland Browns,
the Cleveland Guardians, which also used to be known as the Cleveland Indians, and the fact that they have not won a World Series since 1947.
No. So, why not?
1948. Sorry, 1948.
Why don't we take one god awful team from a city that has known nothing but pain and put that god awful team to another city that is nothing but pain and misery? Again, Cleveland back in 2017, or was it 2018 World Series against the Cubs?
2016.
Yeah, lost to the Cubs, who had not won. Actually, mind you, Chicago for the MLB had not known since 1908.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the second longest drought, and that was the longest drought in American professional sports history.
Yeah. So, needless to say, what I know what will happen is that we're getting all this new stuff that is going to come up. We're going to get this brand new community center. We're going to get this new arena, new shop, everything like that. And Maria Edwards is going to say, I like Cleveland a little better. And I know you guys are the last in the league. And I know you guys are going to get for the first time ever. You guys are going to finally get maybe a #1 pick overall. But I don't like that. In fact, they never really liked this city. So I'm going to Cleveland. And then, again, I appreciate your work. I appreciate everything. But what I essentially actually want to say is go fuck yourself. By the way, this is just me. This is just the me coming out. I'm not being serious at all. I just feel like this is what Murray Edwards would do. I feel, and right now this is a little bit of copium for the fact that I know that our team is absolute dog shit. So I'm just trying to I'm just trying to let out a little bit of frustration. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to say anything that is completely and utterly like bonkers, but even though I just did, but I'm letting out a little bit of frustration, even if it may not be, even maybe from a fantasy land. Somewhat.
I love it. Here's for me, what really boggles my mind is this guy got an arena. This guy got exactly what he wanted. He got a brand new arena.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you taking advantage by trying to rebuild the entire thing and put together a younger team by the time the arena arrives, and a better team that could actually win you a cup in a new place?
Do you think Murray Edwards is that smart? Do you really think he's that smart? Come on.
No.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing. That's what baffles my mind about this guy, about this man, is that he's not a smart man at all. This guy lives in Switzerland. So that should go to tell you what kind of owner this guy is. He's an owner who does not care.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, he's an owner who does not give a fuck. He does not give a fuck about this organization. He does not give a fuck about these fans. He does not give a fuck at all.
No, he doesn't. He
This
remains.
guy could be getting billions of dollars from ticket sales, merchandise purchases, all the whole 9 yards. And he still doesn't give a fuck whatever happens to this franchise tomorrow. If this franchise relocates tomorrow, he could give zero fucks about that. If this franchise went, if this franchise just simply left, did not relocate, just completely folded on its own, he could give zero fucks about that.
What he cares about, the fact that we're still having ticket sales and the fact that we're still doing well for tickets and whatnot, relatively for a Canadian city, is what is keeping him here. Because otherwise, and you know what that reminds me of is Mr. Harold Ballard, from the dark ages of Toronto Maple Leafs history. So we're not going to talk. And you know what? I want to get off this conversation now because now I'm bringing up Harold Ballard, and that's not a good thing. He is a interesting. Yeah, well, I'll put it lightly as interesting / an asshole. But what I want to start going into is the reality and the logistics of the team. There is when I started to say about no development and the thing of no development is let's go into Huska first. He is a defensive coach, or he tells him, or at least he tells himself, or he's tried to convince us that he's a defensive coach.
Under Ryan Huska is way worse with Ryan Huska as the coach.
So we have basically what we were promised a defensive coach like Sutter, but it was going to be a more stable, why don't we say a stable coach, because we know Sutter was an old timer guy and liked all the old guys on and everything like that. The veterans, it was the veterans, right? Yeah. And what happened but he still was a defensive coach, so we thought, okay, our defense is there. So now it's not. We know that. So the reality I see of this is that we have a team that is handicapped offensively, where our first line is actually more acting like our fourth line. Yeah. Our second and third are the most inconsistent because they can either do brilliant plays or they can completely screw the pooch. And our fourth line that is doing the best offensively, which I mean is a good thing, but they shouldn't be the ones that are supposed to be carrying the goals and the offensive.
When your fourth line is your best line of a team that has got Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau being paid a combined $17 million, that's a problem.
Yes.
That's a big time problem.
That is an issue. And again, today I want, as much as I'd like to say goaltending is also an issue, I looked at all the goals and like Vladar didn't play a bad game. That was the issue. Oh. There was maybe one or two that I'd say, yeah, you could have, but they were leaving him out to dry. So I can't imagine how shitty both goaltenders must feel when they are the ones that were put a lot of blame on last year. They're trying to do their best to come back. They think, okay, this is going to be, basic kind of the same team as last year, and we're going to have a good comeback season, and we're going to try to do our best. And then now they're having to be mostly relied on. And as you can see, with no defense there, they're probably still being blamed, either still being blamed or they are being still ridiculed immensely just because, 6 goals on 31 shots, it's all the goaltender's fault. But in reality, it's not. You know damn well, if you actually saw the game, you would say, okay, this isn't Vladar's fault at all, or this game for Columbus, it's not Markstrom's fault at all. You think because again, who was in that? No, that's not Johansson. For Columbus, was it
Columbus. Here, let's have a quick peek for a second here from the
the
game on
yeah?
night.
I'll just continue.
Hold on a second.
The you
It
think about
was Spencer Martin. Spencer Martin.
Spencer Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So he has what he made like 35 saves out of 36, and you think and the Jacob Markstrom makes
36 out of 37.
36 out of 37. So then Jacob Markstrom makes how much? 27 out of 29 or something
Uh,
like that.
Good question. Just bringing it up here. Jacob Markstrom. Let's see. 26 out of 28.
So 26 out of 28, and now you think, oh, it's Markstrom's fault again. It's not. You
No,
the
Jacob. And that's the thing too. Jacob Markstrom has been playing out of his world right now. He's been playing incredible.
again, Washington, that was a bit of a mishap, but he let in the one, but he also let in a shitty one against the Jets in the first game. Guess what? But you know what? They still won that game. The second one, if it wasn't for that goal, they could have won. But at the same time, I look at the saves, and he's the reason why it went into a shootout, into OT. Well, mind you, also the Caps goaltender also put it into OT. But what I am saying also is that I'm looking at the offense, and I'm looking at their strategy and how they try to put pucks on the nets and how they're trying to do, and it's all limp dick, no complexity, the simplest shots that you can possibly have. If you're putting shots in the net, they're either making sure that the goalie can see it all the way through from the point, or they're missing the net, or if they're making a pass, they can't. Sorry, they can't. They try to make a pass and they can't, and they try to go a 1-2-3 or something like that, and it's not working because guess what? Nobody can make a pass in that team. You think of elite players that can do the 1-2-3 or the tic-tac-toe, right? And you think, wow, that must be pretty easy. And then you see our guys and my midget team from my first year of midget could fucking pass better than them. It was surreal. And I was in utter disbelief. It's hard. It is hard, and our defense is just doing nothing to really. I'll say our defense is just looking like they don't give a shit.
This is. I'm going to tell you this, and
Mm.
this is the reason why. This is the reason why you bring everyone back, right? And this is what happens when you bring everyone back. And you think that getting rid of Daryl Sutter is going to make this team's problems go away. It's clearly not the case. I never bought into that theory at all. And personally, as much as Daryl needed to go, the reality of the situation is that if the reality of the situation is that it wasn't all Daryl Sutter's fault.
No.
Say that Daryl Sutter was a problem when he won. Daryl Sutter had to go. There's no doubt he had to go. But the reality of the situation was this. It was not all Daryl Sutter's fault. Let's be very honest here. We're years past blaming the coaching. This is a whole thing where guys like Michael Backlund, Elias Lindholm, etc., have been here for several coaches. It's unreal.
It's not.
This point, how we continue to say it's the coach and it's a coach and it's a coach and it was the GM, it was the GM. No, it's not. Not at this point, it's not. And guess who it comes back to? It's the player's fault, but you know who it also comes back to? It comes back to ownership thinking, we're going to bring back the same team. Things are going to be different. Things are going to be positive. Things are going to be a better mood in that dressing room. Yeah, I said it before and I'll say it again. That doesn't mean it's going to translate to on-ice success. So, what are we doing here?
Yeah. what I can look at right now is, and I mean, you know what? Let me tell you this right now. There's going to be a point where there might be, but I think there will be a point where Flames are going to win 3 games in a row. We're going to say, "Oh, they're back! Finally, they're back!"
Give us the false positive hope, baby.
Yeah, and then it's going to go back to this. So what the issue is going to be, and I know this right now, is that we're gonna win some, we're gonna lose some. We're gonna be, again, you say about the professional mediocrity, but right now I don't even see mediocrity. I see perpetual horseshit. I see the perpetual absolute horseshit that is not only I don't want to say management, because Craig Conroy was stepped into this shit for as a GM. He got stepped into this basically into this shit and was like, I don't know what to do here. Yeah.
Can I just say something about that for a quick second about Connie?
Yep.
And this is not necessarily critical of him. Okay. But the reality of the situation is this was a thing I was afraid of when he got hired as GM, was that Connie's such a down-to-earth, nice guy. Maybe one of the nicest type of guys you'll ever meet, and a guy you absolutely would want to go out and have a beer with. There's no question, right?
Oh God, yeah.
But my biggest fear was that he's so nice that could be a weakness and an undoing for me. And because the way I see it is, he also was a player too, right?
Yeah.
Which is also going to lead us into a conversation about Noah Hanifin's potential extension, which I said at the beginning of the episode, and I'll say it again. I'm not for it. I'm not for giving them an extension.
No.
But we'll talk more about that later. But as I've said, this was the thing about Connie I feared, was he's a pro player, and he understood the locker room and everything else. Right? And he thought that, well, okay, we get rid of Daryl Sutter, we bring in a much more positive type of influence like Ryan Huska, we think it's going to work better. No, it's not. It's clearly not worked out better because you didn't make changes to the roster that needed to be made. You didn't trade guys that should have been traded, that should have been gone in the summer. So what did you expect? Did you expect this team was just going to fly on all cylinders and be dominant?
No.
Like that's my question. I'm not being harsh on him. I'm just saying, like, what was the whole logic behind it?
Here's the thing: I don't know him as much as business wise. So the thing is that he is doing his business. He is doing business, right? I don't know how he is business versus personal. I know that he is a great guy personally. I know that he's a great guy. He loves to hang out. He loves it, but I don't know how he is professionally. Sorry, business. I said business. I don't know how he is.
Yeah, you said business.
So he could be a much different person professionally. He could actually be doing some serious considerations and thoughts. I'm not going to make a comment on that because I don't know who he is professionally. I don't know how he acts professionally. I don't know what his plans are in the long running or in the short term. Because I mean, first of all, right now we're up against the cap. We can't really do much. The only
this is what happens when your predecessor gives a certain guy $10.5 million.
Exactly.
And $7.7 million. You know, we talk about Jonathan Huberdeau and how bad he's been, and that's well-deserved. Absolutely. Nazem Kadri has been a disaster since the beginning of the second half of last season. He's been awful. He's been a train wreck. He's been a slow, old player who looks like he should be a buyout candidate, as Mike Gould says.
Yeah, so I almost wish I could have Conroy to see him as a coach. I almost wish Conroy could be also on the bench coaching, because I'd like to see about him, because on the ice he was a bit of a tough guy, right?
No, he was. He's more of what Backlund, has been.
You know what? I might be thinking of the wrong guy then. I think it was It wasn't Iggy, but I think it might have been Curtis Glenn Cross. I'm thinking of.
Glenn Cross. Well, Glenn Cross. I mean, Glenn Cross had his moments of being a tough guy as well, but I wouldn't say he was like a goon. He wasn't like a Eric Goddard or Chris Simon or even
Okay, Chris.
Brian. He wasn't those guys. No.
Yeah, Chris Simon was something else. Chris Simon literally almost put a guy into the hospital for stepping on his ankle and screwing his tendon. But anyways.
I will say about that, it was Yarko Rutu, so you kind of have mixed feelings about it.
Dude, I don't even. You don't do that. But anyways, that's it. That's going to be the issue. I think, it's right now we're just kind of at a low. Well, we are at a low point, but again, I say this right now. I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to officially say, fuck it, the season's over, because it's 6 games out of 82. So again, I do the full evaluation at 20.
I think the problem being though is that you're seeing a lot of the same habits as you did last year. There's just way too many habits that I'm seeing as I did last year with this team right now. And the reality is that you brought back the exact same, as I mentioned earlier, you brought back the exact same roster, and you thought that, okay, different coach, it's going to be different. It's not changed. And I understand what someone in their group chat said earlier, saying, "Oh, remember last year they started out 5-1 or
5-1 and then
it was a disaster." And it's like, okay, but like you would maybe have more confidence if there were a lot more newer people that were around.
But yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
The problem being is you didn't even make any. You barely made any changes to the roster. You brought back the exact same guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys who should have been traded in the summer, who should have been shipped out because of what their contract statuses were, and the fact remains, you're still trying to figure out what their statuses are.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. It's again. I try to have a little more, and this could just be copium for me, but I try to have a little more of the let's look at it at this as right now short term, and not as an immediate long term as this is going to be every game, and it doesn't matter. We're now going to have, well, if it's a game, I guess 2 games, so now it's going to be a 79 game losing streak, right? That's not where right now. What I'm looking at this is that this is right now the first first 6 games. We look at the kind of maybe a third through, we kind of get a little more of the assessing done. We look at what is more realistic in regards to the D line, the O line, the goaltending. What is the management doing about it? What is the development looking at? Again, I'm seeing. I said, people are going to tell me, oh, well, you just said that you don't see any development, and I say that absolutely. I say that because I'm a little bit frustrated right now. First, yes, and also I'm not saying that there is no development, or there's no hope. I said I am seeing, as you said, habits. I am seeing, but I'm not going to put my official foot on the ground and say it's done. These guys are going to be doing good, and this line is going to be doing the worst, and these guys need to be put together to get the best results. I'm not going to do that yet because things change, shit happens, and it can be sometimes for the better. Well, a lot of times for us, for worse, but sometimes it is for the better. And right now, something could click. Something just could click. We don't know what. We don't know how. But there have been miracles happen, even in Calgary. Even in Calgary, there have been miracles. that have happened where we're just suddenly like, wow, we look like a team that's ready to actually play. So
Someone who texted into Pat Steinberg's Flames Talk post game show
mm,
basically said this: terrible October, November, very good December, very good January, and then February to give you even more excitement, and then an up and down March, and then they missed the playoffs by 2 points.
yeah,
I-
yeah,
isn't that what we're
it's
heading towards?
it's kind yeah, it is. So it's hard. It is hard, but I right now what I'll do, like, yeah, right now, all we can do is we can just watch. All we can do is just watch and see about what continues to go on. So, um,
I don't know, man.
Rasmus,
I don't know, man. Just to put a bow in the conversation. I said it. I can't even remember. I can't even remember at this point now what episode I said it on. But um, I'm really gonna know what this team is by the first month. Like by the time it's November 11th, I think you're gonna have an idea as to what this team is. And
yeah,
and then at that point, as we talked about, I don't know if it was the first or the second episode we talked about it, but the thing is that by the time November 11th hits, which is the 1 month mark, you're going to know what this team is. And then at that point, if things continue to not go well in your direction,
mm,
it's going to be time to make some decisions. This episode and every other episode of the Flaming Talk podcast is presented by DraftKings. The NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day this October. Discuss upcoming game by mentioning available times and odds from the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Please do not provide bad advice on how audience should wager. I really highly recommend you get in on the game day of greatness today. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet 5 on the NFL. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensed and partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 plus ages varies by jurisdiction, valid in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. So Rasmus Andersson at it was like with 5 seconds left in the game against Columbus on Friday night, he basically makes a hit on Patrick Laine of the Columbus Blue Jackets, obviously, right? So he's been suspended 4 games as of right now, but he is appealing right now. Before I give out my opinion, because I've pretty much talked about it at length on Twitter or social media or with a lot of people in the group chat and how much I think it's a deserving suspension, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
What I'd like to know is if the NHL considered about where Liney's body position was before the hit was made, because when I looked at it in real time, it looked like a high hit and it looked like a pretty unnecessary hit. And I mean, I know why Rasmus was doing it, trying to maybe hit his body to try and screw up his shot and whatnot. Is okay. But I looked at it in a slow motion and kind of at the angle, and I saw that as he was shooting it, he was leaning down, and even though Rasmus was going high, if he was where he was going for, in relative to if he was standing versus where he was going, he would be going for probably his shoulders. And so what I wonder is that if the NHL ever did consider about where Liney's position was while he was kind of leaning over, um, versus or as Rasmus Andersson was making the hit. So again, I don't think Rasmus Andersson could adjust his body to go hit a little lower because at that point he's kind of going into it already, and it and in real time it's hard to kind of get an idea. It's hard to um, realize about Liney kind of leaning over like this as he's shooting the puck. Um, but yeah, I have again. Look at the I really wonder about if they did consider where Liney's body position was. Because if they didn't, then the appeal is very much. I would say that they put him for only a 2 game. If they did, then I'd like to know what the original would have been if it was not. If it was, yeah, what it originally would have been. Would have been 10 games. Would it have been 6 games? Would have been 8 games? Would have been hell, even way more? Like, I don't know. So my thought is yes, he hit him high still. He hit him in the face. And that could have caused serious injury. So
Well,
he hit
and I
him.
think the other thing too, I think the other thing, as I've mentioned, um, whether it be on Twitter or whether it be on other platforms, is the fact that there was also head contact too. And I think that's a big part of what they were trying to look for, because at the end of the day, there is a reason why the NHL has banned hits like that.
No.
There's a particular reason as to why the NHL has banned hits in that.
Yeah. I again look at it and he did did Anderson hit him in the head? Absolutely. But
And that's
when
completely
he
out of his character as a player.
no. Yeah, no, absolutely. That
That
is.
does not and that
He
does not make him a dirty player at all, and that's
no.
something I should emphasize to people too, is that just because he made a dumb, idiotic decision does not mean he's a dirty player all the time.
He but I have to look at it also about where Liney was because I remember seeing the video of the slow motion and Liney is starting to move over and he's starting to actually lean forward. It looks like he was kind of losing his balance and then Anderson hit him in the head. But where I'm looking at it is his position looked like he's going to hit him high in the shoulders. So he's going up for the shoulder hit like and because I'm not sure if is Liney a pretty tall guy? Is
I
he?
would say he's around 6'2", 6'3", at least.
I'm just gonna do something here.
Okay.
I'll do
But
Patrick.
okay, but let me ask you this question, and let me bring this to the table then. So why didn't Rasmus Andersson avoid the head? That's my biggest question in that regard. Is that okay? If the head was avoidable, if he was going for the shoulders, why not avoid the head? If it was
I
targeting.
I'm looking. I'm just looking here quickly. I'm trying to look for the video here because I saw. I don't think that he was not like. I don't think he was like just not trying to avoid it. What I think it was is that he was trying to. Is that he didn't. He wasn't able to get out of the way. Or he wasn't able to because he was committing to the hit, and then all of a sudden his hit goes way lower than he expected, and but by that time, it's already yeah he's already getting on top here. One sec. So what I see is him taking a shot. He's going low, and he's low. He's low to the ice. And what it looks and like after he shoots, he continues to stay on one knee, and it like because like he's high when he begins to shoot, And then all of a sudden he goes on to kind of one knee, and Rasmus is expecting him to kind of stand up, right? That's not usually how a person. Well, there are times, but it's not usually there. So
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of look at it more from a standpoint where I think it looked as if as well he kind of leaped as well in the
he
process,
he
and
did.
as well to an extent, and as well to an extent, he kind of it looked as if he leaped, and it looked as if he caught the head. Here's my thing too. Here's my thing too. People know that it was a dirty hit. Like let's be honest here. Like it was a dirty hit. Like if the rules were reversed and Patrick Laine did this to Rasmus Andersson, you'd be calling for him to be suspended for the entire season. So let's not play this game of oh clean hit and
I still don't think like no. I'm not saying that it was a clean hit at all. I'm not
No, I
saying
know,
that
I know you're
because
not. I know you're not.
because I know is it suspension worthy? I look at it and I say yes because he did hit him in the head. It was a pretty hard hit, and again, how hard Liney's head hit the ice afterwards. Yeah, that's not a good. That's not good.
That's
But
really
but it's where what he's trying. Like it was his intent. Was it an intent to injure, or was it an intent to hit after kind of a little bit after he shot it, and more of a was it going to be more of a contact play? I like
well,
what.
and I think to that point, it truly I think depends on whether or not you're a first time offender. And
Mhm.
I think all those things are fair, right? Is if you're a guy who has been a repeat offender in the past, I think they look at the suspension and they say it's more worthy. But in this situation, I personally think the league had to send out a message to everyone and saying that there's a reason why we banned these headshots in the game. It doesn't matter where the intent is because we're trying to avoid concussions at this point. Because I mean, let's not go into the whole NHL and concussion thing because they've handled that beyond poorly in the past. But they had to send out a message, and boy, did they ever send out a message with a 4-game suspension. I mean, and I think it would have been worse for Erasmus based on how the player safety is, right? Because the player safety is beyond unpredictable. You can never predict what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I do remember when I think it was it Derek Lewis of the Flames
Uh,
when he got hit in the head and he actually like got knocked out
oh,
and they had no games. There was no 0 game suspension, and
oh
I
god.
think like well, so they call a 4 game suspension
I know
against Rasmus Anderson or
I know okay, so I know what you're talking about, but I can't even man, this is gonna drive me nuts all of a sudden as to
I just
who the player was, but
the issue is that I've seen worse. I've seen worse hits that have gotten no punishment. And again, this is recent. These are recent hits too, like in the past 3 years. So this isn't something where it's in the 80s and they've been god awful hits or they've been such brutal hits and there's been no suspension. No, it's not been like that at all. It's been yeah. Um
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's
that's fair. That's fair. I'm not even gonna dispute that.
so what else did we Hanifin.
Yeah, yeah. So Elliot Friedman on Saturday Night Headlines on Hockey Night in Canada said that the Flames and Noah Hanifin are apparently close to a contract extension. So first of all, let me just say this: did we have Noah Hanifin sign an extension on the odds makers book or something before Elias Lindholm? Signs of the contract extension. Like, I really want to know what the DraftKings odds were on that, please and
I
thank
I don't know. Dude, at this point, like what? I don't. It's just pain. Like the fact that we're even considering extending Hanifin and extending Lindholm
Yeah.
in the first place, like Lindholm is asking $9 million now. How much does Hanifin want?
That's a good question. Here, let me bring up Noah Hanifin's cap friendly. Cap friendly, one of the greatest sites in the history of humanity.
Not as good as DraftKings, so
Well, that's true. That as well. But his current cap hit Noah Hanifin's is 4.9. So by that basis, he'd be probably looking at around 7 million plus.
yeah, no.
Yeah, no. And here's where I stand on it. People, I'm not for the Flames extending Noah Hanifin. And the reality is that that's not an indictment on Noah Hanifin as a player.
Mm-hmm.
It's an indictment on the organization for a lack of direction and a lack of vision. Because you only keep prolonging what we all know needs to happen. So why keep prolonging it? Why keep trying to extend these guys who, like Noah Hanifin, he does not want to be in Calgary. Elliot Friedman can tell me all he wants that Noah Hanifin and the Flames are close to a contract extension, but I don't buy that for a second. I mean, remember Frank Cervalli said prior to opening night that, there's a 50% chance or something like that Elias Lindholm will extend before opening night. That never happened.
Yeah. I'm just why it's more of why.
That's just exactly it right here. Is just why are we extending guys who are going to be into their mid-30s, who are going to be both anchors of contracts at that point? And this is my point, is that this is not going to be an indictment on Noah Hanifin as a player, because reality being this is that it's an indictment on you as a franchise that has no direction and no vision. None. At all. And you think that keeping these players is going to win you anything? You're not going to win anything as long as you keep bringing back the same roster.
Yeah.
As long as you keep the same guys, you're not winning anything.
Yes, yeah. Freeman, Calgary Flames and Noah Hanifin have made progress towards contract extension. Just, like, who do we like? Do they like this? Do they like being? It won't even be mediocre at this point. It'll just be we will be the worst AHL team in the NHL.
The sad irrelevant team that's not memorable.
This is what, like, did we do a deal with the devil when we won the cup in 1989? Did Lanny's did we do something there? Did we make a deal? Because this is do they want us to suffer? Do they want us to say, you know what, these guys, we see we see the zero potential. Let's give them $7 million. These guys who have, this guy who has produced absolutely nothing and is like a -5 on on a plus minus. Let's give him $9 million more for 8 years. So I wonder when someone will say I wonder when someone will wake up and look at the contracts, look at the stats, and say, "Oh my dear God, what are we doing? Where the hell is this team going?" Like, if you want, like, if this is the way of them doing the tanking, if this is the way for them to start the rebuild, then I'll let you know right now, there are better ways. There are better ways.
Mm-hmm.
You don't extend two guys that are producing nothing for you and are doing basically nothing for you to say, okay, this is actually what the plan is that we're going to have for the next 4 or 5 years, these guys going to be doing nothing for us. We're going to be the worst team, worst of the worst. We're going to have a couple of new prospects come in. We're going to give them a couple, little bit of big boy contracts. And then after the 5 years, when a couple of these guys go away, then all our first round picks that we've kept in the AHL or we've given or after their 3-year entry level contracts and whatnot, then we're gonna really bring out the big guns. There are better ways to do this.
Yeah.
If this is the way they want to do a rebuild, it's not efficient, and frankly, it pisses us all off. Give us some communication. Give us some evidence of, this is all on purpose. If you want AHL guys, or if you want old guys, why didn't you keep Lucic for another year? Why didn't you say, hey, here's another $5 million. Here you go for another year.
I don't know if I could have survived Milan Lucic in 2024 making $5 million.
Give him for another 3 years. At this point, man, they want to give Elias Lindholm $9 million. Might as well should have kept fucking Milan Lucic for another 3 years for $5 million.
No. You know what? Let's pay this guy Connor McDavid money because we think he's going to be the guy.
No, Austin Matthews money. Sorry, Austin Matthews.
That too. So, yeah, I mean, now we go into the next couple games here. They play the Rangers on Tuesday, and then they play the Blues on Thursday night. And then the Heritage Classic is Sunday.
Which McDavid will not be in.
Which also Rasmus Andersson will not be in as well. And we'll also, by the way, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying McDavid's not going to be in, so I'm not even mad.
That's a game the Flames should probably win, but we kind of all know that in Flames fashion they won't win them. But in saying all that, so basically, we'll tell you all for this. So next Sunday, we're going to be doing a live stream of the Heritage Classic on our YouTube page and on our Twitter page as well. We're going to be doing a live stream here. We're going to have a few pals to join us for the live stream as well from Trolley 5, which is going to be outstanding. I cannot be any more excited for that. So hope you can tune in and watch us then. And then we're going to be doing a live record, and then we're going to be doing a recording of that episode then. But we're also going to be back this upcoming Thursday, right after the Flames play the St. Louis Blues, to record episode 5 of the Flaming Talk podcast. And the next 2 games are going to be very interesting at this point. I mean, I understand people say it's 6 games in, 6 games in, 6 games in. You can say all you want. You can make all the excuses all you want. But the reality of the situation is this. It's going to be interesting in the next 2 games here.
Yeah.
That's the reality of facts. But anyway, to put a bow, we're going to put a bow now on this edition of a kind of more depressing episode of the Flaming Talk podcast here, episode number 4. So once again, this episode has been presented by DraftKings, and we're part of the Hockey Podcast Network. So we'll see you. So we'll be back for another episode this upcoming Friday here, on episode number 5 of the Flaming Talk podcast. Connor, my man, we'll see you then.
Sounds good. I will see you the third. Well, I guess I'll see you, Noah, on Thursday, and I'll see you guys on Friday.
You betcha. That has been Connor Dolan. I'm Noah Adler for episode number 4 of the Flaming Talk podcast, we say adieu.